What if I told you waiting to retire could cost you the best years of your life? We struggled with that, and we want to talk to you today about why it's so important to think about retiring right now.
It's like that whole idea of perfect time, right? Is there ever a perfect time to change jobs? Is there ever a perfect time to have a baby? Is there ever a perfect time to change your investment strategy? Is there ever a perfect time to get a puppy?
Yeah, well,
What is your perfect time? We're telling you 2025 could be your perfect time to retire.
and we struggled with this. We really did. I was in a family business, and we sold it in 2013. And my brother and I sold it, and it was a time I was, how old was I? 50.
Well, you were
50,
53.
55. 55.
We can't figure it out.
I was 55.
Okay.
Sold my company, and I thought I'd work for the new company for at least 10 more years. I loved it. I was involved with the leadership team now, and I was flying around the country, going to meetings with 125 other office leaders, and I was engaged, and I was important, and I was excited. I loved my boss. I loved what I was doing until I didn't.
Right.
And then I was like, this is not what I thought it would be. I always had fun when I was running the company and making all the decisions. But now that I was not running the company and I was just another one, 125 people reporting in our numbers to this public company, it wasn't fun anymore.
Yeah.
So I did it for 3 years. And then I said,
You did it for 5 years.
well, I did it for 3. And then I said, I want to retire. And
Right.
we both talked about, no, we better wait. So we waited 2 more years.
Right.
And it was awful. I mean, it was, right?
you were fortunate because you could make independent decisions based on how you felt valued or not valued.
Right.
I always feared retiring because, I didn't grow up with anything, and I just feared not having enough money. And I think a lot of people fear retiring because you're kind of worried about not having enough money. For me, I had a different relationship with money than Mark did growing up and through my earning years, and certainly even now in retirement. And the retirement word scared me because it meant that I was no longer accumulating assets. And that was my biggest fear in picking a retirement date. I don't know if that resonates with you guys, but if it does, leave a note below. That was my biggest fear.
Well, I think you're right. And
it just depends on your relationship with money. I mean, and Mark will say this to me often, I approach things from a position of scarcity sometimes because I grew up, my mom had a clicker. I don't know if any of you know what a clicker is, but we would go through the grocery store and she would actually, back in the day, 50, almost 60 years ago, click in the amount of what each item costs so she knew if she had enough cash when we got to the checkout area. And so I kind of grew up with that mindset of scarcity. And retirement, to me, equaled scarcity.
well, I love that story because you also told the story about you and your brother and your mom would be shopping together, and your brother would put
Count Chocula.
Count Chocula cereal.
Do you guys remember Count Chocula?
Count Chocula cereal in the basket, and your mother would, you get to the end and say, we don't have eggs yet, so something in here has to come out.
And I was hopeful it would be the dumb Count Chocula,
Yeah.
but Michael usually got what he wanted.
Yeah, so certainly money is an issue, and we hear a lot from people that I don't have enough money yet. And I want to clear the air on something about that. You can still keep working.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I'm a big proponent of you should keep working for the rest of your life. Now, it could be volunteer work, but it also could be paid. And that keeps you engaged, inspired, and takes away this fear of what am I going to do all day long? Because if you don't have some of these things in place when you retire, then I can understand why you don't want to do it. But we're going to give you some ideas in a minute on what you can do to make sure that, you know what, I am ready, I'm going to do it, I'm excited, because I want to live the next 20, 30 years of my life not a slave to the company I work for now.
Well, can I also just say on that point of keeping working, right? So you worked through your whole career to accumulate assets and wealth and savings and all the things, right? All the things.
Right.
But you either punched a clock or you were on the clock or you had work hours or, there wasn't a lot of flexibility. You weren't really in charge of your schedule, perhaps. I think the difference is the currency in retirement is time. Right. It isn't money. So why we're saying retire in 2025, because the currency in life now that you get into your 60s and 70s and beyond, the currency isn't really the green dollar. It is, it's time.
Well, we've talked about this before, and I haven't thought of this in a couple of years actually, but this idea of when you're in your career and you're working 5 days a week, 6 days a week, 40, 50, 60 hours a week, your time, you're a slave to the business, you're a slave to the job, you're a slave to your career. And the scarcity of time for things that you really want to do is nil. Because you get home at 6 o'clock, you have to cook dinner, and you go to bed and wake up and do it all over again. Maybe on weekends, but when you retire and you step away from that 40, 50, 60 hour of committed time to working, now you have time, your time affluent.
Right.
You're rich in time that you can do what it is you want to do, who you want to do it with, when you want to do it, and your real purpose in life. Listen, when I was doing my career and I was doing insurance, I always thought I'd be an insurance consultant or a coach or something like that. Look at us now. We have a YouTube channel.
Well, I think that also reframes kind of the thinking for what we're talking about today, right? So the reframing really looks like this. Not when do I want to retire, what do I want to become when I retire?
Right.
Should be the question you ask yourself, I think.
So let's talk about some things you can do to reframe this in your head, to say, you know what, I'm watching this video, 2025, I'm okay on the money side, I have a financial planner, I've talked to them, I'm going to get other income, I'm going to keep working a little bit, 20 hours a week, maybe even 30, doing something. We have a lot of people, gosh, we just hired somebody who watched our video, 37 or 27 side jobs for women over 50 for some side money. She's now our fractional chief operating officer.
Yeah.
And she's, so there's all kinds of opportunities out there for you. But the first thing is that you want to do is you want to start thinking about your health. Cannot spend the next 20 years working more and ignoring your health, because your time on this planet will shorten dramatically.
Right. Well, and we've done that. We've spent quite a bit of time not just working on our health, but we spend quite a bit of time talking to each other about our health. Whereas, and I think you and I started talking about this last week, whereas we used to come home and say, it's the end of the quarter, I met my goals, I had my sales calls, I got my new accounts, my team's doing well.
Yeah.
Like you had your checklist. Now we go, how much protein did you eat? Are you drinking enough water? Did you get to the gym 5 days a week? How are you sleeping? What's your heart rate? What's your blood pressure? Like now all of a sudden our scorecard, our metrics is around our health.
Yep.
And it's become kind of fun
to
have it be that way.
And if you're still working and you're on the fence and you're not sure this is the right year to retire, click the link below. There's the 1 year retirement checklist. It really is a great checklist to get you prepared to retire. Some of the things you need to do at work so that you take away that fear of what do I have to do. So the first change in your mindset is prioritize your health.
Yep.
The second is you want to start building a new routine. Our routine was always get up, have coffee, watch the news, go to work. Now it's completely different. I actually get up a lot earlier than I used to during my career.
That's true.
I read my scripture, I journal, I have my coffee, I might check emails, 4:45, off to the gym. Do that for an hour, come back, we have coffee together, you go off to the gym. Jody comes back, we have coffee again. That morning routine for us, Monday through Friday.
Sounds like a lot of coffee.
Well, here's the thing. When we were working, part of what we were afraid of, what are we going to do? And I remember our first day, that Monday, we looked at each other like, what are we going to do? We didn't have to go to work. We got no more email, no one was calling us, no more appointments, whatever. So we had to create our life together, and we've done that. And having good health and a good routine, those are two things you should really think about so that you can retire today.
And we get a lot of pushback from people on the idea of routine in retirement. Until they spend, 7, 14, 21 days where every day is a Saturday.
Right.
And you realize your free time, that currency of time, can actually work against you, work against your health, work against your relationships, work against your growth and development, your mental stimulation. That free time can become very scary.
Yeah. So prioritize your health, work on routine, The third thing is you need to reinvest or invest in new relationships or reignite old relationships, because when you do leave your career, you are leaving behind your work family. And
Right.
my work family was really important, and I thought I'd always be hanging out with them. But I've been out of there for, I don't know, 5, 7 years. I don't hear from anybody.
Right.
And it dwindled.
Over
Actually,
time.
I would say it was like crickets on Monday, that Monday morning. I had shared my personal email with the 80 people that worked with me. I didn't hear from anybody. So you've got to spend time
Yeah.
thinking about your relationships during this phase of life. And we have met the most amazing people who are also retired, yet still working a little bit and living the life like we are. Those are the people that we're attracted to.
Absolutely. And invest in some connections that maybe are pre-made for you. You know, volunteer where your passions and heart are, and then you find people who volunteer because that's why they're there too. Their passion is there, their heart is there. Or join a social club.
Yeah.
If you're an extrovert. I know we get a lot of comments. People say it's not so easy to join a club. If you're an introvert, I get it, but figure it out.
The fourth component to think about so that you can retire this year is finding some way to share your wisdom.
Right.
Finding some way to have a part-time job. Finding some way to mentor or coach or write a book or influence people. Start a YouTube channel. Or just go back to part-time work. I met this great guy, Tom, in the pro shop at our golf course that we play golf at. Semi-retired, but he likes to work there Saturdays and Sundays. He gets paid a little bit, plays golf for free. He's meeting a lot of people. I
Right.
had dinner with him the other night. You know, there's a lot of things that you can do to share your wisdom and or stay engaged in a job.
And you don't only have to share your wisdom externally with strangers in a learning and development
Right.
area. If you've got a large family or you've got a family that's across, the country, wherever you live, you can share your wisdom with the younger generations within your own family, talking to them about your real life stories, what happened to you and what you learned and how you can help them moving forward. It doesn't always have to be like big and grand and external.
So if you're on the fence and you're thinking about retiring and you're watching this video, this is the year to do it. Don't be afraid of what it is that is coming your way. Get excited about it. Reframe your mind and do these things. Prioritize your health, build a new routine, find a way to give back and share your knowledge, reinvest in relationships. Do us a favor, drop in the comments below your biggest fear of retirement. Watch this video next. 7 things that happy retirees do well and how to live the best retirement ever.